There are empty luxury apartments in your city while working people cannot find a plain one-bedroom they can afford. That sounds insane, because it is insane from the renter's side of the glass. The building has a rooftop pool, a dog spa, and a now leasing banner that has been hanging there for months. You have a job, references, and money for rent, and the answer is still no. The empty, expensive building looks like a mistake. Often, it is the result of the only math that made the project financeable. In the next few minutes, I will show you why the cheap apartment disappeared, why the granite countertop is not the real villain, and how an owner's empty units can become your leverage. If you want somebody to keep translating the spreadsheet before it reaches your rent check, subscribe to They Keep You Broke. We keep exposing the systems that make ordinary life cost more and the leverage they leave behind. First, the lopsided pipeline. Industry data reported in late 2024 counted nearly 500,000 4- and 5-star apartment units under construction, compared with roughly 6,700 units in the lowest rent category used in that analysis. Those categories are not the same thing as a perfect national count of every luxury or subsidized apartment, but the imbalance is real. Most unsubsidized new construction arrives at market-rate rents, while deeply affordable construction usually requires public subsidy, tax credits, cheaper land, or some combination of all three. At the same time, vacancy in the newest and most expensive properties was high. The same late 2024 analysis put vacancy for 4- and 5-star apartments near 11.4% nationally. Why keep building the category with empty units? Because you are looking at it like a renter. The project is financed like a spreadsheet. Your need is emotional and immediate. Its approval was a column of costs that had to produce a return. Second, the cost floor. A basic apartment and a premium apartment do not cost exactly the same. Better finishes, larger common areas, structured parking, and extra amenities can add real cost. But many of the largest expenses arrive before anyone chooses a countertop. Land, site work, concrete, framing, labor, elevators, fire systems, utilities, financing, insurance, and years of approvals. Changing granite to laminate cannot rescue a project whose land, structure, interest, and permitting already require high rent. That creates a floor under new housing. The finishes can move. The floor does not move nearly as much. This is the first reversal. The visible luxury is real, but the invisible cost stack is doing more damage than the fancy faucet. Third, the 40.6% number. A 2022 survey sponsored by the National Association of Home Builders and the National Multifamily Housing Council estimated that regulation accounted for 40.6% of multifamily development costs for the typical respondents' projects. That figure includes zoning requirements, delays, changes required during development, fees, and other regulatory effects. It is a survey-based estimate from industry participants, not an audited statement that 40.6% of every rent check goes to government. But even with that limitation, delays and restrictions have consequences. Every month spent paying interest before construction, every required parking space, and every smaller building forced onto expensive land can raise the rent needed to make a project work. If parking rules, permit delays, or rules that ban missing middle homes are warping housing where you live, tell me which one in the comments. Your local example may become the next system we pull apart. Fourth, luxury is often a positioning word. Many apartments marketed as luxury are simply new. Once a project already needs high rent, the developer adds visible amenities to compete with other expensive buildings. The dog spa did not create the entire rent. It gave the leasing office something to put on the sign. The amenities are real. They are just not the whole explanation. They are the costume the project wears after the expensive decision has already been made. Fifth, the missing middle. In many American cities, zoning historically allowed detached houses across large residential areas while banning duplexes, triplexes, courtyard buildings, and small apartments. Those smaller buildings do not solve every affordability problem, but they can spread land and construction costs across more homes without requiring a giant complex. When only the smallest and largest projects are legal, the middle disappears. The developer's choice becomes expensive or nothing, not luxury or affordable. And a building that never gets built houses exactly 0 people. Sixth, the empty building is leverage. High vacancy is bad for the owner and useful to the renter. In overbuilt markets, landlords offer free weeks, waived fees, parking credits, or 2 months of free rent. 2 free months reduce the effective first-year rent by about 1/6 before other fees. But the advertised rent may stay high because owners do not want to reset the official price used across the property. Ask for the effective rent over the entire lease. Ask which fees are mandatory. Ask whether the same concession applies to a longer lease. Then compare the full year, not the number on the banner. Seventh, what happens as buildings age? New housing can become relatively less expensive as it ages and newer buildings open around it. Economists call that filtering. But filtering is not a promise that every luxury unit becomes affordable in 20 years. Strong neighborhoods can become more expensive, buildings can be renovated, and older units can filter upward instead. The honest claim is narrower. Sustained new supply can reduce competition for older units and create vacancy chains that help elsewhere in the market. It works better where construction continues and worse where every new project is blocked. So the next time you pass an empty glass building, do not read it as proof that nobody needs housing. Read it as a market sending 2 messages at once. The city needs more homes people can afford. The financing and rule book made this expensive building easier to produce than those homes. And while that building is trying to fill its empty units, you have leverage. Use it. Ask for the effective rent. Put every fee on one page. Make the leasing office compete for you instead of letting the banner set the terms. Subscribe to They Keep You Broke so the next hidden cost does not arrive as a surprise. Then join the community waitlist at theykeepyoubroke.com and get the free Life Under Pressure kit. No daily noise, just the next move. Educational content only, not legal, investment, or housing advice. Sources and dates are in the description.